I love Tesla.
I'm a kid.
Guys, can I be real with you for a second? I found it very difficult to write jokes about the news, and especially politics this week. Like, look at this post from Trump declaring that Joe Biden's pardons are hereby declared void, vacant, and of no further force or effect, due to his use of autopen. Like, how am I supposed to make fun of that? It's so petty and over the top, it sounds like a joke I would have made to clown on the president. Everyone knows you can't undo a pardon by acting like a tyrannical baby on social media. Suggesting that we limit the pardon power is the only ridiculous and never gonna happen thing I could allude to. This whole thing seemed to be a pattern this week, like this leaked military plan scandal.
The journalist accidentally added to a group chat of top administration officials on the timing, weapons, and rationale of U.S. strikes on Houthi rebels in Yemen.
You know, normally I'd make a joke about emojis being a response to the bombings, but they did that! I assume that means they're fisting America and it burns. The only process Doge has made more efficient is the scandal to journalist pipeline, and their explanations after that were beyond cartoonish.
Deceitful and highly discredited so-called journalist who's made a profession of peddling hoaxes time and time again, to include the hoaxes of Russia, Russia, Russia. Nobody was texting war plans, and that's all I have to say about that.
We can now add this Signal hoax to this very long list.
I know nothing about it. You're saying that they had what?
They were using Signal.
I don't know anything about it. You're telling me about it for the first time.
But how did the number?
Have you ever had somebody's contact that shows their name and then you have somebody else's number there?
I never make those mistakes.
Right.
That explanation was so bullcrap, even Laura Ingraham called him out on it. That's supposed to be my job. Well, that and also microwaving pizza. Next thing you know, Laura Ingraham will be saying jokes like, well, that explains why you keep accidentally sexting your mother.
I don't know this guy. I know him by his horrible reputation, and he really is the bottom scum of journalists.
Oh, so if he's the bottom scum of journalists, that would have been the perfect contact name. Only a clinically insane administration would have an evil lying journalist as a contact, claim he lied about your just a mistake, then admit your mistake on national television. But other right-wing commentators just had to get mad about the wrong thing.
The Trump administration accidentally texted me it's war. Give me a break.
This is a nothing burger.
The mission was a success. And Democrats think they have a scandal. Accidentally adding someone to a group text, which we've all done, is the new Watergate.
How am I supposed to make a joke about how these sycophants were definitely jealous they weren't added to the Signal group? Or the fact that the Trump administration is basically giving government handouts to reporters in the form of scandals? Or when Caroline Leavitt reportedly sent an email about the controversy to The Atlantic with more typos than a first grader's book report? Is that why they're cutting education? They don't want to seem smart by comparison? How am I supposed to make fun of an email that would make a computer with spell check go up in flames like a Tesla? And by the way, any of you setting Teslas on fire, don't do that. It doesn't help because the car has already been purchased. There's no financial impact to Tesla. You're just hurting your neighbors. So I wrote a helpful little jingle to make it easier to remember.
Don't set Teslas aflame. Its evil doesn't help and makes us ashamed.
But if that weren't enough, top Democratic leaders act so cringy, it's not even funny anymore. I just feel sorry for them.
Fight against Doge. We'll fight Elon Musk. Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Which side am I on? I want to be on the side that can carry a tune and won't be the daily laughingstock to every voter, which is none of you. Now you might think, oh, there must be something that goes too far for even this news cycle. It would be too crazy if Trump were to hate on a dictator-style portrait because it wasn't flattering enough, right? Wrong.
President Donald Trump calling for the removal of what he calls a distorted portrait of himself. President Trump is disgusted with this.
But that wasn't the only bizarro world dictator-like behavior.
A great honor to have won the senior club championship at Trump International Golf Club, competed against many fine golfers and was hitting the ball long and straight.
Who was he going against? Seniors with faulty hip replacements? This has got to be the biggest doping scandal of all time.
And I have strength and stamina most others don't. The thing is, Trump wasn't even there for the first day of the tournament. Trump apparently told members that he had played a cracking private round on Thursday and that would count as his first day's score.
Only geriatric dictators host rigged sporting tournaments just so they can win and look macho. Like when Putin scored 10 times in a hockey game in his late 60s. Or when Kim Jong-il allegedly shot 11 holes in one in his very first golf round. Or when Turkmenistan's president easily won at race cars. Okay, like, how am I supposed to make a hilarious over-the-top observation about this golf thing? I'd say he got the idea from having long, loving phone calls with Putin, but he did that! And when he gets this close to being a dictator, the dictator joke isn't funny anymore because nothing is too ridiculous for the news anymore. This administration is like a bonkers comedy version of The West Wing or Veep on steroids. But it's not just those at the top, but the sycophants who support and defend this administration, like this hypocrite.
In California, we've got Gavin Newsom, who thought it was a good idea to have Californians pay for a bust of him, which is really strange, because Gavin Newsom is still very much alive. You don't see statues of Joe Biden or Donald Trump, do you?
If you could come up with the most extreme hypocrisy for this situation, you'd probably say Trump desperately wants his head on Mount Rushmore. No, not that one. And you'd be right, because Trump wants to be a part of Mount Rushmore. And even when Trump isn't trying to mess with national monuments, AI is messing with them abroad on his behalf.
Trump does a shining bright, a golden future, a brand new life. Feast and dance, the deal is done. Trump Gaza #1.
How am I supposed to make fun of that when Trump Gaza #1 sounds like he did a #1 all over Gaza, which explains why it's covered in gold. All these stories are why it galls me to hear statements like this.
The left wanted to make comedy illegal, you know? Yeah. Like, you can't make fun of anything. So then it was like, comedy sucks. It's like, nothing's funny. You can't make fun of anything. It's like, legalize comedy. Yeah. Legalize comedy.
How can we legalize comedy when you are putting comedians out of work by sounding like a drunk uncle watching The Tonight Show for the first time in 15 years? Let me tell you something. If you're the one who thinks nothing is funny, that's because you're being made fun of. And even when space lasers don't go too far, this Jedi Knight has mind-f***ed the news.
This show was aired on PBS.
The hips on the drag queen go swish, swish, swish. The shoulders on the drag queen go shimmy, shimmy, shimmy.
The hips go swish, swish, swish. The shoulders go shimmy, shimmy, shimmy. That's repulsive. That's not what children ages 3 to 8 should ever be watching.
See, this is what I'm talking about. Before all of that, that would have been my exaggeration of her. But these weirdos double down on every ridiculous thing they say to the point I can't out-top that. Swishing hips are essential to dancing. She sounds like a chaperone at prom. Hey, those hips are moving way too spicy. Keep it PG. Or the St. Patrick's Day parade when the dancers come down the street. She's like, the end is nigh! The worst part is, I can say with complete confidence that likely happened because nothing is too crazy now. We are living in the parody universe, where we have prominent political figures suggesting a third term for Trump. Even late night hosts are more flabbergasted about what's happening than doing jokes. This is madness. Political comedians are going to be out of a job because the news will be comedy. This is anarchy. I hate to spout doom and gloom, but if comedians who told jokes during January 6th, school massacres, and the worst days of Trump's first term are being broken this much, that should be a huge red flag for the state of our country. Because I'm proud, and a little bit ashamed, to live in a country with the most political satire. We are the shining beacon to other countries who have modeled their political comedy after us. And if we crumble, the whole world crumbles. That's why we must fix our country, by not making political comedians obsolete. And, as a wise man once said,
legalize comedy.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Remember, a spoonful of comedy helps the news go down. I hope to see you next week.